I'm JMontana, and I am a visual artist. I was born like this. It's a gift. It just comes natural to me. I didn't really start getting as far as technical background in art until I got into college. I mean, basically, I've been drawing my whole life, so I didn't live here. So I lived in Massachusetts, so I didn't have that option of going to specialized high schools. According to my mom, my kindergarten teacher told her I was going to be an artist when I grew up. I have no recollection of drawing that young, but I do remember a lot of part of elementary school, definitely into junior high school, I was always in trouble. So I spent a lot of time in my room just drawing all the time. I've grown. I self-taught myself pastels and watercolors. When I think of the work I did when I was like in my early 20s, when I was still learning techniques in college, it was probably really flat. And at some point in the last 10 years, it's evolved a lot more where I enjoy pattern work. So I went from copying patterns to creating my own pattern technique. All of them. I work in oil and acrylics, gel pens, mechanical pens, watercolor, pastels. I used to. I used to enjoy working in pastel because I can control it better because I'm using my hands a lot and my fingers. But lately I like working in gel pens and mechanical pens because I can take them back and forth with me, you know, when I'm going to work, to be able to work while I'm on my travel for the day. It used to have a really huge role in society. You know, scientists, they went to artists to create what they thought other worlds looked like. So most of the time, before they even started getting photographs from outer space, artists were drawing that. The same thing, you know, it took an artist to draw out the anatomy. You know, they didn't know what it looked like before. I would say in the last 20 years, artists have, I guess, been put on the back burner in our educational, where they really push music a lot. And art is just like, okay, we're gonna teach you some basic stuff in art and that's it. And I think that's a real shame. I used to like to, when I lived in Massachusetts, I used to like to sit outside and draw what I saw in absolute detail. You know, no matter how far away it was, I could draw in absolute detail. And that was probably when I was about 16, 15, 16 years old. It helped me pass the time, and at the same time, it was comforting. So by the time I got into college, the professors didn't understand how I was able to do this without proper schooling for it. They just didn't understand it. And then they just said, you know, this is what you do, so we'll just let you do what you do. And that's all I've been doing since. When people buy my work, you know, it's always something very personal to them. Like, oh, this reminds me of such and such and such a thing. And I'm like, oh, okay. Because when I'm painting it, I've got something else going on in my head. And I never tell people, you know, when they ask, well, what were you thinking about when you did this? I'm like, well, what does it look like to you? Tell me what you see. So I enjoy when people see my work and they like it. Because most people, if I tell them I'm an artist, they're like, oh, okay. And then when they see the work, they're like, oh, okay. It is lonely. I used to worry that I would grow up and be crazy, like so many famous artists. Van Gogh cutting off his ear, you know, just, you know, drunken, you know, drugs. I always worried about that. But it is a lonely place because I usually tell people I create and destroy works of art in my head every minute of the day because I can't draw them out all the time. It's lonely because people don't understand me. And this is gonna sound really crazy, but art has been my constant companion my whole life. You know, it embraces me, it loves me, it doesn't disappoint me. Only I can disappoint it by not doing the work. But if I had to say a relationship, my artwork is the longest relationship I've ever had. For the most part, I've always just, you know, paid for my own stuff. You know, most artists, we buy stuff, we collect it, we buy more stuff. You know, we can never have enough paint, we can never have enough brushes. I remember going to the Staten Island Museum for an exhibit one time, and somebody introduced me to the person that runs it, and they were like, oh, where do you get your funding from? And I'm like, I don't get funding. You know, I do this out of my own pocket. And then when Sandy happened, I finally got a Pollock grant that I was rejected twice before. I don't know, I'm not good at that whole idea of asking people for money, you know. And it's not a pride thing, I guess it's just that rejection that so many artists get. Yes, always. Because there's always somebody that's going to come up and look at you and go, do you know what that means? That symbol? I've had that in a lot of my earlier work. And you have to be on point, you know, because people will ask you, especially if you're doing, like I do a lot of cultural artwork. So if I'm doing Native American design and someone comes to me because they see a symbol and they're looking at me and like, do you know what that symbol means, what it represents? Yeah, you have to be on point. I have a strange sense of humor. I am a complete, how can I say? I have blonde moments. And you know them when you see them. So, yeah, I have these crazy blonde moments. And every time I have them, I've been around someone that knows me, and I go, save that moment, because that's, when I die, you're gonna be telling that story. So I've left stories for many people to tell when I've had a blonde moment, like, oh my God, did I just do that? Yeah.